They hid the true Creator and worshipped the copy. Long ago, in a land where the sun painted the sky gold and the rivers sang soft songs, there stood a great city. The people of this city were proud and clever. They built tall towers that touched the clouds and carved beautiful statues from stone. But above all, they worshipped the one who had given them life, the true Creator. The true Creator was kind and wise. He had shaped the mountains, filled the seas, and breathed life into every creature. The people knew his voice in the wind and saw his hand in the stars. Every morning, they gathered in the great temple to thank him. They brought gifts of flowers and song, and in return, the true Creator blessed them with peace and plenty. But as the years passed, some among the people grew restless. "Why should we worship someone we cannot see?" they whispered. "Why should we trust a voice in the wind?" These men and women were leaders, builders, and thinkers, and they believed they could make a better God. So they went to the temple and spoke to the priests. "Let us build an image of the true Creator," they said. "Something we can see and touch. Something that will remind us of his power." The priests were unsure, but the people insisted. And so work began. The finest sculptors were called. They shaped a mighty figure from gleaming marble, a towering statue with eyes of polished jewels and hands outstretched in blessing. When it was finished, the people gasped. "It is perfect," they cried. "Now we can see our God." At first, nothing changed. The people still gathered, still sang, still gave thanks. But slowly, their prayers shifted. Instead of speaking to the true Creator, they spoke to the statue. Instead of listening for his voice in the wind, they looked only at the stone face before them. One night, a storm rolled over the city. Thunder shook the towers, and lightning split the sky. The people huddled in fear and ran to the temple. "Save us," they begged the statue. But the statue did not move. It could not hear. It was only stone. A young girl named Liora stood at the back of the crowd. She had always loved the true Creator, had always heard his voice in the rustling leaves. That night, as the others wept before the statue, she slipped outside into the storm. The wind howled around her, and the rain soaked her clothes. But Liora lifted her face to the sky. "True Creator," she whispered, "are you still here?" And then, a warmth spread through her chest. The storm still raged, but she was no longer afraid. A quiet voice, softer than the wind, spoke in her heart. "I have always been here." Liora knew what she had to do. She ran back into the temple and climbed onto the altar beside the statue. "People of the city," she cried, "this is not our Creator. It is only a copy, cold and silent. The true Creator is here with us now." Some shouted at her to be silent. Others turned away. But a few, the ones who still remembered, listened. They closed their eyes and heard the voice they had forgotten. The next morning, the storm had passed. The leaders of the city, ashamed of their fear, ordered the statue to be covered in gold. "Now it will be even greater," they said. But Liora and those who had listened left the city. They walked into the wild places, where the wind still carried the voice of the true Creator. Years later, travelers passing through the ruined city would find a golden statue, half buried in dust. No one remembered the prayers that had once filled the temple. No one remembered the true Creator. But far away, in the forests and the hills, Liora's people still gathered under the open sky. They needed no statues, no temples of stone, for they knew the true Creator had never left. He was in every sunrise, in every whispered breeze, and those who listened would always hear him. The end.